Joining us right now is former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor, and author of Understanding Trump. Newt Gingrich is here. Speaker Gingrich, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. On an important morning with this news, your reaction to all of this and the president's response to North Korea.
Well, I think overall the president has handled North Korea very, very effectively. I think he has all of his military advisors lined up. They're bringing pressure to bear. Nikki Haley did pull off an extraordinary achievement last week in getting both the Russians and the Chinese to vote for a very tough Security Council resolution. It's clear the administration has decided this is the crisis moment. They have to get the North Koreans to back down. They're going to bring more and more pressure to bear. And I think it's a serious moment. I think all of us should be aware this is a very, very dangerous time, and the North Koreans are very unpredictable. So I think the president's taking the right steps, and I think his warning to the North Koreans is correct. They need to understand this is not a game. This is not Barack Obama. This is not Bill Clinton. This is a president who, in the Ronald Reagan tradition, will, in fact, be very tough to deal with.
So what should we expect when he says things like, look, if they do this, they're going to see a response that the world has never seen before? What should we think of that? What's the response?
Well, I think, look, I think, first of all, General Mattis is very, very smart. General Kelly's very smart. General McMaster's very smart. This is a very, very good national security team. We have a lot of assets, many of which we don't talk about. We have a capacity, I think, to do a number of things to North Korea. We don't want to cross that line if we can avoid it. But I suspect that we could make them pay a very high price in a non-nuclear way, using a variety of things from cyber warfare to electronic warfare to highly precise conventional munitions. That might be pretty surprising. I always thought when we dropped the very, very large bomb in Afghanistan, that was in part a demonstration for both the Iranians and the North Koreans that we have weapons that are conventional but are enormous, and that we're prepared to use them to take out missile sites and research facilities if we're forced to do so.
Good morning, Speaker Gingrich. It's Mike Baker. Is the administration not doing something that you would like to see them do or would advise them to be doing at this moment?
Well, I think the biggest thing to recognize is that when you cross into nuclear weapons, we're in a different league. I was on the Hart-Rudman Commission back, which reported in March of 2001 and warned that a weapon of mass destruction going off in an American city, probably from a terrorist group, was the greatest single threat we faced. And we called for a Department of Homeland Security, but we wanted a much more robust department capable of dealing with up to 3 nuclear events the same day. People have not thought through for many, many years, not since the height of the Cold War, what a nuclear event in a city would be like, how desperately we would need help, how inadequate our current preparations are. I wish the administration would take more seriously laying out what it's going to take for us to truly be able to protect Americans if either North Korea or Iran were to decide to use just one weapon. This is not people who say, oh, we only have 1 or 2 or 3. One nuclear weapon changes the world, and we have got to be prepared, I think, to minimize American casualties and minimize the number of Americans who would be severely wounded in that kind of an event.
Speaker, it's Kevin Kelly. We've seen a lot of criticism come out of previous administrations from Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, that they didn't do enough. You spent time in the leadership back in the 90s. Is there anything that could have been done differently, and is it fair to place blame on previous administrations?
Yeah, and I think then Chairman Bob Livingston of the Appropriations Committee was very vivid and very accurate in his attack on the Clinton policies. Clinton accepted a terrible deal with no enforcement. It allowed the North Koreans to continue to build their weapon systems. We know they were collaborating with the Syrians and with the Iranians. They would show film on North Korean television of Iranian delegations coming to the North Korean ballistic missile facilities. And the degree to which they've been swapping knowledge, potentially even swapping weapons, is very, very real. The ideal moment to have acted was around 1994, 1995, when we could have relatively safely taken out his nuclear facilities because at that time they had no capacity to deal with us. The problem you've got, and this is not to in any way condemn Bill Clinton, because I think this is a very hard problem. The problem you have is They have always had an enormous number, above 100,000, artillery pieces and missiles aimed at the city of Seoul. Seoul has 25 million people. It is physically very close to the 38th parallel. So you've always faced the danger, if we really act aggressively, that their immediate reaction is to take on the capital of South Korea. This is why the South Koreans are very cautious about pushing North Korea very hard.
Yeah.
Now we're at an intersection where we have to control them, and we cannot allow them to get nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. I think this is a very dangerous period.